Hello everyone, it's your old buddy BPM here, and welcome to a special episode of Shadows of the Damned, where we're not really going to talk about Shadows of the Damned itself. Instead, I kind of wanted to make a couple of episodes focusing on some of the other games that Grasshopper in particular, and Suda in particular, were coming out with around this period of time that Shadows of the Damned came out. Because if you look at 2010, both Suda and Shinji Mikami made two pretty well-known games. Suda did No More Heroes 2, and Shinji Mikami did Vanquish in collaboration with Platinum. And from the period of time after, Shinji Mikami really didn't make another game until 2014 with The Evil Within. But Suda, on the other hand, especially in this period of time between 2010 and 2012, 2013, Suda came out with a fucking ton of games, most of which Kira Yamaoka also worked on. So I kind of want to take a couple of these episodes in between Shadows of the Damned itself to kind of talk a little bit about and kind of how small retrospective on some of these games, because man, this was just such like a unique, interesting time in Grasshopper history. So we all know that Grasshopper kind of got put on the map with Killer 7 in 2005, but really Grasshopper kind of has always been out there with some weird games, from like Contact for DS, which myself included, a lot of people thought was an Earthbound game. They also did a couple of Shining Soul ports, the Flower, Sun, and Rain visual novel-esque series, a game called Michigan that was kind of really schlocky horror that was a lot of fun, and a couple of licensed games, like I think they did a really nice Samurai Champloo one, and we'll go on to do more licensed stuff later on. But in this period of time, from 2010 to like 2013, 2014, they did a lot of short form, kinda arcadey style games. In fact, a lot of them, the majority of them, were on Xbox Live Arcade, and I kind of want to take a peek into some of them. So in this particular one, we're going to do all of them, but for this particular episode, I want to dive into three of them, which came out in 2011 to 2012. These are going to be Frog Minutes, Liberation Maiden, and Diabolical Pitch. Okay, so the first piece of media I kind of want to cover today is Frog Minutes, which was made in 2011, and it's interesting because it's one of the first, I believe, and one of the few Apple-only games. For a lot of these games, I'm gonna be upfront, there's almost no way for me to actually play them in their original format. For this, I would need a Japanese Apple phone from 2011, I believe, to play it. So we're gonna go ahead and show some footage here, care of Hikikomori Media, as well as a couple of other long players for some of the other games we're showing here today. Anyone that we mentioned today is going to be linked in the YouTube description below. Please give them some love. They have made some great videos here. So Frog Minutes was one of Suda's first games for smartphones, and it came out 2011, and it had a kind of interesting development here. It apparently was made as a tribute to the 2011 earthquake, which really badly ruptured Japan. It apparently came out like a couple of days after they announced it, so kind of a quick surprise release. It is a very simple game. Basically, it's you get put in like a nice calm meadow by a river. You tap bugs on your screen, or tap on the dirt to try and entice like snails out. And once you have enough bugs collected, you feed the bugs to frogs. And once you've satiated the frog, you get to catch it. And there's a counter in the bottom right corner of the screen to show you the percentage of frogs that you collect. Some of them have to be like collected in a unique way, like catching them when they're on a tree, or something like that. There's a guide to tell you like what you have to do for it, but it's in Japanese and I cannot read Japanese. So a lot of it is just collect. I think the bugs you give them are grasshoppers, dragonflies, butterflies, regular flies, and snails. And some frogs you only need to give like 1 or 2 bugs to. Some will eat up everything you have. There are 5 kinds of bugs you can collect, and I believe 15 kinds of frogs you can collect. I've seen some places say 10, I've seen some places say 15, but you're basically collecting a lot of the same frogs. And once you collect everything, then you get a mosaic of a frog made up of all the frogs that you collected. And the game is over. A really interesting title. Kind of shows like, I don't know, some of the it's kind of a cliche thing to say that the Suda game shows the weird side of Suda when every single goddamn Suda game shows the weird side of Suda, but this is like weird in a different way. But hey, almost all the proceeds of the game sales went to relief fund for Japan, and you know, it's a neat little game about making frog buddies. Can't fault anyone for that. 9 out of 10, it's a frog. Let's move on to the next game. Alright, next on the list is Liberation Maiden, which is a game I definitely remember playing when it came out and being a big fan of. It was actually one that I contemplated doing an LP of or streaming, but 3DS capture cards are grossly overpriced, and I think they at some point ported it to Apple or iOS, but wasn't for a while. This was made by Grasshopper manufacturer and Level 5, same company that did like Dragon Quest VIII, a bunch of other games. This was also kind of a weird collaboration because in addition to those two, you can see this anime as fuck opening here. This was actually animated by Bones, one of the like biggest anime companies out there. So this game was made because Suda51 apparently wanted to make a game for the 3DS badly after seeing the hardware for it. I don't believe he was as involved with this as he was with some of the other games, but you could definitely see from some of the character designs, and it's got a little bit of the Bizarre Jelly from No More Heroes in it. But anyway, it's about the president of Japan, who is a 16-year-old girl who became president after her father was killed. Is that how presidents are chosen? In any case, yeah, 100 years into the future, aliens or some organization tries to basically take over Japan, and the president gets soda pop, so his daughter is now the president, and they give her a Gundam to take over and take back Japan. So this game plays a whole lot like if they made a Zone of the Enders for 3DS, which let me make sure I'm not stupid here and make sure they didn't actually make a Zone of the Enders for 3DS. I don't think they did. Okay, they didn't. I'm not stupid. I know they made one for, that's right, they made a Zone of the Enders for Game Boy, but not for 3DS. I had to double check that. I knew they made a portable one. I just had to make sure. In any case, this game plays like a Zone of the Enders for 3DS. You move with the control stick. You use the touchscreen to basically fire your lasers or lock on and just unleash missiles left and right. You also can swipe a sword. It is pretty simple. I think the entire game itself is about an hour long. About 5 stages, just like blow up the little guys until the bigger spikes come out of the ground. Blow up the spikes on the ground until the bigger spikes come out of the ground, and then once you blow those up, a boss comes, and every boss fight is kind of like puts you in a big strafe circle, and you're just blow up the missiles that come your way, hit the bad guy with your laser until everything comes to a head. All the meanwhile, there are cutscenes. It tries to have a plot, but the plot of this game is kinda... There's a lot they try and set up, but this game didn't take off as well as they kind of anticipated it would. Didn't stop them from trying, though. They made a whole fucking visual novel sequel to this game, I think for the PS4. So, whatever story they thought was there, they ran with it enough to make an entire other game on it. That one is only in Japanese, and I have not played it, but it sure as shit is there, and I think it came out... So, the original game came out in 2012, and the visual novel came out in Japan for the Vita and PS3 in like 2013, 2014. So it actually wasn't as long as I initially thought, but again, only in Japanese. Yeah, this game's a lot of fun. If you like a good Zone of the Ender style game, you could do a lot worse. This just involves piloting your ship, blowing a whole lot of things out of the water, and then having some pretty cool boss battles. So, gameplay here is shown is provided by Sun Eo from World of Longplays, longplays.org. Thank you very much for the footage. I completely forgot, this game actually came out as a result of a project called Guild 01 from Level 5, where they basically did like a compilation of video games produced by different manufacturers, different creators. I think like Keiji Inafune did a game, and basically all these came out on the Nintendo Wii Shop, and they all kind of had a theme like in common, and they did one in 2012, and I think they did a second one later on. But like there are other games that are like Crimson Shroud, Weapon Shop Diomas, one was like a fantasy rhythm RPG, another one was just like an RPG. But yeah, they're kind of worth checking out. They're all kind of weird, cool games. Also, when you're looking at the credits here later on, you can see that there is a ton of shit to unlock in this game, all of which is like concept art and more lore behind the like individual enemies and shit like that. Like I said, between that and the visual novel, they really wanted this to be a reoccurring series and take off, and it just never did, which is kind of a shame. I thought it was a neat idea, minus the whole high school girl as president because her father died kind of thing. That's a little weird, but yeah, you know what, weird is good sometimes. In any case, because this is a game from Japan, you know that the final boss has to have a vocal track kick in at the right time, so let's check this out because this is actually pretty goddamn cool.
I won't lose like this.
The Guardian Spirit will come spooky now.
Please, just calm down.
Now let's go on to that final game. Okay, and last in our list of games for today, but certainly not least, is Diabolical Pitch, which came out for Xbox Live Arcade in April 2012. This was a really interesting game because it was initially showcased in, I think, Tokyo Game Show as like Codename D, and it looked really badass, and they were trying to get people to make it, and Microsoft ended up taking them up on the offer, and it was a Kinect game, only a Kinect game. This one got real bad reviews, and not entirely unjustified. So, you know, this game came out. It's a 360 live arcade game for like $10 with so the story of it is you're a baseball player named Nigel McAllister, who fucking throws his shoulder out pitching a perfect game, and we actually know his name because they fucking reference it. They reference Nigel McAllister in Travis strikes again. No more heroes. In fact, Nigel plays for the Santa Destroy Red Tigers, which is the second baseball team Santa Destroy had, because the first team, the Santa Destroy Warriors, all got fucking murdered by Travis. So, yeah, being a baseball player in the world of Suda 51 is a dangerous sport to be. So the gameplay of it is relatively simple, if you can call it that. Connect sucks, notoriously sucks. I remember trying to play this game at a close friend's house and it playing like ass. You need to have so much room for it to just like recognize. Like if you have like a couch, even like slightly in like a 15-foot perimeter of the Connect, it just does not fucking work. But what you're supposed to do is basically swing over the head like you're pitching to throw. Use your left hand to aim. The first couple stages it kind of doesn't really matter. Kind of like auto logs onto target, but that changes pretty quick. The rest of this game is monotonous as shit. This game is like 2 hours fucking long. This game is 1 hour and 45 minutes longer than it absolutely had to be. There is so much content in this game and to no end. There was supposed to be DLC for it. I don't think it ever fucking came out. This game got like a fucking 3 out of 10 and no one picked it up. Do I think it's bad? Yeah. Do I think it had potential? Oh yeah. Because this game plays a whole lot like God Hand, if God Hand had bad controls. It's not even like, oh well, God Hand has bad controls when you first play it, but when you get the rhythm of it, it starts getting better. No, this game just has bad controls. Great ideas, bad controls. The entire storyline is, like I said, you're a baseball player throws his shoulder out and gets a pop-up ad that you click on for some dumb reason, taking you to Christine's Magical Kingdom, where if you kill a whole bunch of Five Nights at Freddy's knockoffs, God, this was Mascot Horror before Mascot Horror really took off. Maybe if they waited like another year and a half to make this game, it would have taken off a whole lot more. But in any case, your shoulder and arm are fucked up. They give you a robotic arm, which if you pay close attention to, the arm in the cutscenes and the arm in the game are different arms. They swap them up. But you're using your mechanical arm to basically throw really fast fastballs over and over and over and over and over again at a whole bunch of mascot characters who are trying to kill you. If they get too close to you, you kick them in the beanbag and punt them, and it's a million times more satisfying than anything with the baseball, because the baseballs have no fucking impact. For a game about throwing baseballs, you throw it at them and just kind of like does off them, and in some cases doesn't even stop them. But kicking them fucking punts them into space like God Hand's punt. That kicks ass. This game starts off kind of mid, and this game does have its moments like, oh, I don't know, being able to do a fucking henshin and get an arm-mounted rocket launcher that kind of fucking rules. But even that kind of gets a little like slow after some time. A whole lot of this game is just repetitive as hell. Like they could have made this game a half hour, and I think it would have been great. But after 2 hours, especially if you're playing on Kinect, there's no way to play this on a controller. You have to play on Kinect. That means you have to basically, like, after 30 minutes of this game, I never wanted to play it again. My entire shoulder hurt. Ironically enough, I'm in a game about recovering from an injured shoulder. It gave me an injured shoulder. I think it has some cool ideas. It has like a bunch of different worlds, like a horror land, a space level, a garden level, a castle level. They all kind of look the same. Every level kind of looks a little horror level because all the, mascots have blood on them, and man, some of them are just annoying as shit. Cutscenes are basically you being led through this world by a cow who talks about nihilism. Some of the boss fights are really fucking annoying. I have the final boss up now. It's like the only boss that isn't just a souped up enemy. And even then, it's not as cool as it can be. It's just aiming for her arms are just a real fucking pain. Eventually, by the time you get to the end, there are no normal pitches. You have to aim at stuff high. it's not just like look in a direction and throw and you'll probably hit it 90% of the time. You have to start doing shit like holding out your left hand to aim and then throwing a pitch, or trying to put your gloves up to catch. But why do that when you can literally just hit him with the ball and stop him instead? And it's just, it gets old really fast. And I think they would have been a lot smarter had they just made arcade mode like 1/5 the fucking length. And then it's you go from getting this really cool robotic arm that can transform into a fucking rocket launcher, and he's like, oh, I get my real arm back. It was all a dream. And that's that. So I'm just weird ass game. Again, I think it had potential. I think it definitely had potential to be a very god handy kind of game. But I'll put in a little more footage from some of the parts of the game that we just skipped for the next minute or two. Enjoy a couple more minutes of gameplay here, and we'll catch you at the end. We got this footage from G. Henry Perez Extra. Again, it'll be linked below. Give him some love. I'm sure his arm is tired as fuck from playing this game for 2 hours straight. But thank you for the footage. And with that, that'll wrap up this first edition of special on what was Grasshopper up to around the same time Shadows of the Damned was being made. Well, it's definitely not uncommon for a studio to be working on multiple titles at once. Grasshopper being kind of like a smaller studio than something like Capcom or Konami. For them to be working on so many different games in so many different genres always kind of amazed me. I just kind of remembered like picking up games and just having them feel so absolutely different, but still had that kind of like weird thread together that only a Grasshopper title could have. But and we're, by the way, not even close to done. We've probably got about 3-4 more other games that'll come up the next time we have a break in recording that I'm very excited to talk about. But I don't know, just to me, like being able to play, like what other studio could make a robot president shooting game, Zone of the Enders Robot Blaster for 3DS that takes advantage of the touchscreen, connect pitching arcade House of the Dead style God Hand game, and Frog Buddy Simulator. All at the same time, they're making their flagship Big Dick game all right after they finish No More Heroes 2. It's such a unique time that I had to go into some of these other games. But until then, this has been your buddy BPM. Be good to one another. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hey, if you've been enjoying the LP so far, let us know. It's been a long time for me since I've done any kind of non-streamed content, so I always like knowing how people are enjoying the work. And if y'all are still into this, still feeling this, or just let me know. I'm always interested in hearing feedback. All right, be good to one another. Fuck cops. I'll catch y'all later.